Everybody, this is the video for organic sculpted pinch pots, and some of you have already learned how to make pinch pots, but I'm going to go ahead and go through it again because we have new people that have joined us in our curbside program. So we're going to go refresher for some people, but then I'm also following along with your instruction sheet that you have. I'm going to go ahead and pick some of these, and I'll make the first one I'm going to make is this white one that's in the bottom corner that's kind of thin, looks like a flower. And then I'm going to make two more to show you the different techniques. So we're going to start with the first one, and I will on the first one go ahead and show you the actual pinch pot technique. Okay, so your clay is wrapped in this plastic right here. So you're going to unwrap it, and for those of you who are newer, if you're going to take any piece of clay off or you have some extra clay, you always want to keep it wrapped real good because clay dries out really fast and it makes it more difficult to work with. And if it should dry out, you're going to want to go ahead and push some holes in your clay, add a little bit of water, and knead it like you would, kind of like what you would, like bread. Okay, but I'm not going to demonstrate that this time. It's in one of the previous videos, that demonstration. Okay, so you're going to have a lump of clay, and you're going to take your clay and you're just going to start hitting it into a ball. And you might want to kind of add a little bit of water. Not a lot though, you never want to use a lot. If it seems to be, this clay I have right here seems a little firm, so it's up to you. Okay, so there, I've hit it into a ball, or I can roll it. You can roll it too. Rolling it doesn't make it quite as round, but that's up to you. So step number one is make it into a ball. Step number two is you're going to take your thumb and you're going to make the hole in the clay. Now I'm choosing to go down into the center, but you could make your hole over to the side. Makes it more asymmetrical. Okay, so you want to take your thumb and put it all the way down in there, about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. If you go all the way through, you can just take a little piece of clay off the side and fix it. So there's no mistakes. You can always fix things when it comes to clay. So the one thing that I did want to talk about is making sure that your bottom isn't too thick. I noticed on some of the pinch pots that some of the bottoms were too thick. So you want 1/4 of an inch from the bottom, and that's what I have here, but you can't really probably see it. And then you want the next step after you make your hole is you want to make the base. Okay, the base is different than pinching the walls. So a lot of times people will just go make the hole and then they start to pinch the walls. They don't pinch the actual base of it out. Kind of like this container right here. See, it has like a flat base. See that? So you want to make sure that you put the hole in and then pinch the base out. That's the next step. So I'm going to pinch out my base. So I'm pinching down towards the bottom, about 1/4 of an inch thickness from the bottom, and I'm creating my base. See that? Okay. Now, I've thinned this part, the base, the bottom part out. So now it's time for me to thin out the walls. You can see how thick, can you see how thick this is on top? So that's where I'm going to start because I've thinned out this bottom area. And so if I don't thin this part out next, it won't be able to support the weight. If I just continue to thin right here, this part is so thick, it won't be able to support it. So I'm going to take my thumb and my first fingers, and I'm holding it in my hand, and I'm just pinching all the way around. I'm going to try and go kind of quickly. And see, it's starting to crack. So when it does crack, I take my thumb and I smooth that spot. And I like to do it right when I see the crack. If you wait, it's sometimes harder to do it. Okay, so I just thinned out the rim, the upper part of the wall. And now I'm feeling to see, well, now my bottom's thinner and my top is thinner, but the middle part is thick. So I'm going to go ahead and thin that portion out. See how I just hold it in my hand and I just kind of thin it. Okay, you can use my thumb. I tend to use my thumb and my fingers on the outside, but some people like to do it reverse. It's whatever works for you. But it's important. I know I always feel like I'm in a hurry, but it's important you're not in a hurry, to take your time and to just really, the whole idea is you use your sense of touch to feel the thickness of the wall. So I'm happy with this now. Okay, so I don't want it too thin yet. So I'm trying to make that taller form. So I'm going to take it now and watch this. I'm just going to kind of squeeze it in because I want it to be more of a cylinder form. So I'm squeezing it in, and by squeezing it in, it's contracting the clay and actually making it thicker again. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to continue to pinch it, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and I really love the thin edge. So now I'm taking my fingers right on the very edge and I'm pinching. You can see how it has that delicate kind of flower-like lip on it. And then I'm going to keep pinching though, because I want it to be thin, the whole. Okay, so I'm pinching and pinching. I kind of had thickened it there because I wanted it to be a little bit taller. And back there where I put my hands around it and made it, and kind of squeezed it in, that's called collaring it. Okay, so there we have it. So now, there's my pinch pot, my organic pinch pot. But now I'm going to look at the contour of my form and kind of turn it, because it's three-dimensional, right? So you want to turn it and see if you like the shape of it. And I can pinch it. I can continue to pinch it. See, I'm making it really kind of thin. So these are kind of delicate. So these organic pots, we are not going to paint them with underglazes until after they are, you're going to bring them back to me with no underglaze painted on it like we've been doing in the past. And then I'm going to bisque fire them like this. One is bisque fired. And I'm going to give it back to you, and then you'll paint it with the underglazes. We're going to learn some new techniques on applying our underglazes with this project. So I know some of you have the underglazes, but only use the underglazes to put your name or initials on the bottom. Okay, so there we go. So I could continue to pinch this some more. I want to look. I can kind of work on the design of it, the form. But I think I'm all done with this one for now because I want to make sure I don't go too long on these videos. And so I will go ahead and call this one good for now. I can actually pinch the bottom. See, I'm going to do this really fast where I want it to have more of a narrow bottom. So I'm taking my thumb and kind of push it. See how I'm pushing it down like that? Okay. There we go. That's good for now. Okay, so I'm going to just set it right down here, and we're done with the first pinch pot. So I'm going to go ahead and get another pinch pot started, and I'll show you a different technique on how to make an organic pinch pot from another one of the pictures on our instructions. Thank you. Okay, so now this is option, I'm not sure what option this is, but this one that I'm making, let me see, user thunder, okay, well, so this one I'm going to make now. I'll show you how to make these ones that are really organic looking. This one has a little plant in it. It's kind of got all these little pinch dips, kind of organic. It's a real organic form. And the same with this one up in the left-hand corner. It's similar like that, and the one right below it. So I took my ball of clay, made it, got it into my lump of clay, got it into a ball of clay, and then I stuck a hole in the bottom. And then now I'm just kind of opening up the base. I'm going to keep emphasizing that for all of you, okay? But I'm leaving it thick. Can you see how thick it is? Because instead of pinching it from the inside, I'm going to pinch it from the outside. So if you want to do one of these more organic kind of flowery, I don't know what they call them, then you want to leave it thick. And then you just take your fingers and you pinch it, and you can, I think I need to keep my finger inside, and you can just pinch the clay and sculpt it. See, I can sculpt it however I want, and I can feel. You want to leave your fingers inside because you can tell how thin it's getting if you're with your fingers on the inside. If you didn't, and it supports it too. So I'm just gonna keep going on this and making. See, I'm just grabbing it and pinching it. And it's really kind of fun. And I have to admit, I don't think I've ever made one like this before. And it's actually very fun to do. So, okay, so there it is, kind of like this. Okay, so now I gave you guys these plates. You guys could have smaller plates. I didn't have any small plates at my home. So the reason I gave you a plate is to use it like a turntable. So if you had it on the table, I'm holding it up so you can see it. You can turn your plate as you need it so you can see the whole 3 dimensions of your form. Okay? But I'm going to go ahead and hold it up, and I'll just kind of keep pinching it. See? Can you see? Yeah, and like I'm making this thin, but I think I'll leave this part. It's up to you how the edge, if you want to, and the cracks. It's okay if you have cracks because in like the rims, because it's organic, and so it's just a reflection of the quality of the clay. But now some people don't like to have that, but I personally like all that stuff, all that organic stuff. But see, look at that. See how nice that looks? And then I can actually make my rim on the top. And so not a lot of pinching on the inside, more on the outside. And you could make it like that one in the picture. You could make it so you can always plant a plant in these if you'd like. Just kind of fun, especially with these organic shapes. I personally just like to go really thin with my edges. I just love that. I love the contrast of the thick and the thin. Anyway, so there we go. So I'm not going to go any further on that, but so if you want to pinch you want to remember to don't pinch your walls from the inside. Don't thin them out. Just grab the clay like I did, and then you can just start sculpting it. See that? I can sculpt that whole bottom part. You can put it down. Okay, so I think that one's done for me for right now. And so I will put it to the side. And then I have one more that I want to show you, and we'll just do that in just a second. Okay, so now we are going to do your third option, and I'm going to show you how to attach pieces, organic small pieces, to your pinch pot. This is the one that we're doing right here. It has little pods, open pods. Okay, so I forgot to make my pinch pot, so I'll do it real fast. Hang on, I'm gonna make it. Okay, so I'm pinching it, pinching it, pinching it, pinching it. There we go. And see how I hold it in my hand, and you can kind of shape the form in the palm of your hand. All right. Okay, so there's my pinch pot. And so now before I actually made it into a ball, I pulled off a chunk of clay. So I'm going to set this down, and underneath my plastic grab a little piece of the chunk of clay, and I'm going to roll it. I'm going to make tiny little pinch pots. Actually, I think that's too much. So I'm going to roll it in my hand, and I'm going to stick my finger in there, and I'm just going to form these little pods around my finger. Okay, so there's one. And then once I kind of got the form going, then I can pinch it. Pinch it some more. So there's one little pod that I just made. And then I'm just going to make 2 of them. But as you can see in the picture, the whole pot is covered in those, which I like the way that looks. Looks like a sea creature. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to make 2 of them for right now. So in the past, many of you, so we gave you some white slip, but you probably have some other color slip too. It's up to you. I didn't have any white here. I'm at my house, so we're going to slip and score. Underglazes and slip are the same. It's just a different word. And now we're using it not to paint the pot, but we're using it like glue. So I put some slip on my brush, and I painted it on the part that I'm sticking. And then I am also going to put it on my pot where I'm going to stick it at. See there, right there. And then I have a fork, or you can use anything that you, I'm just using one of the fork spikes. And there we go. Scoring is to scrape the, into the slip. Okay, so you always want to score both pieces. You put slip on both pieces and you score. You scratch. It's a scratch. And then see how I put my finger down with it, my finger in there? And then I'm just going to take it and twist it a little bit. And that should be good. If you give it a little twist, it helps it to stick. Just very gently. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do that again. I'm going to put this one next to it. See that? I'm getting the slip all over it. And then I kind of put a lot on that one, but it doesn't really matter. Just depends on what you want to show and not to show. And then I'm going to go ahead and scratch it, score it. There, I'm scratching, scoring. And it's really important though that you stick it good, because otherwise it comes off. Some of you have probably, oh, and see, now I want to stick this one to the side piece. So I'm just going to put a little bit of slip right in there, right there. See that? Now I can't score it, but that's okay. And then I pinch them together. See that? Okay, see? And now I can kind of shape this however I wanted. You could slip and score little balls of clay inside those little pods. And then you can take a spoon or any kind of tool. If you want to put extra clay, you can. Or you can just kind of clean up. Since I'm using red, I'm going to clean up. I can go around and clean it up a little bit. Okay. So anyway, so that's how you would attach to make that piece there. You would just go ahead and make as many as you wanted. Or you could, so that's using little pods. You could also roll out on the table, but I'm just going to roll it in my hand. You could roll a coil. See, I'm rolling a coil in my hand. But you would roll it down on your table, just like you roll a coil. And then if I decide, okay, I'm going to put it on my pot here, I would just paint the slip where I want to put it, where I want to attach it. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'll paint one side of my coil. And I could do a little scoring, scratching. See that? Scratched it. And I'm going to carefully scratch my coil so it doesn't wreck it. And I'll start on this side. And I'm just going to attach it. I can push down the edge. And there we go. And then I'm just going to, there. So there's my coil on there. But now I have to go around and kind of give it a little push. I always have my fingers inside the pot so it supports the walls. There. Okay, and then you could do the same thing, like you can make a design. You could put little balls. You could put little balls all around the top. You would want to paint the slip and score it again. But you could do like a whole pattern of them around the side, around the top. And I'm just going to dip it in there. Okay, but I still want to score the top and stick it on there. And always make sure everything's stuck really, really, really well. You can take, I'm going to finish up here, but you can also, if you want, you can take a little piece of clay, a coil, a real tiny one. I'm going to roll it here. And you can put it around the seams where you've attached something. See, I just put it around the seam right there. And then you can take your wooden, I like the rounded edge, and I can just push it right in there. And that really secures it. And you just smooth it out so you don't really know that that you had added that coil, that little piece of clay. Okay, you just smooth it all out. You can see that. Okay, I think that's it. So those are the 3 different ones that I wanted to show you. And if you're like, if you want to smooth an edge, you could take just a tiny bit of water. You don't want to use too much water because water will cause it to actually crack and to shrink a lot. But you could just dip your fingertip in just a little bit of water and you can smooth the edge real good if you desire to do that. But always be careful, don't use very much water because actually a lot of water is not a good thing with clay when you're making clay, unless you're throwing on a pottery wheel. Okay, and even then it's not good to have a lot of water. Okay, so I am all finished. So go ahead and Facebook message me if you have any questions, and I will see everybody next week at Curbside. Thank you.